Welcome back, community. Timothy on Purpose here.
Charlie Price, how y'all doing?
Yeah, man, we back. It's the book club. Man in the Mirror. We still recapping on chapter 3. Yeah, man, it's a good Sunday. Had a blessed week. How about you, bro? How was your week?
Blessed. Ups and downs, but blessed, all in all.
All in all, man, yeah, we got to keep on making it count no matter what steps in front of us or what tries to come up from behind. We just got to, keep grinding, keep making it count. And keep pressing forward. But yeah, man, we're going to step into it. Last recap, it was, same chapter, had some good valued points that we were able to touch on. We're going to dive right into the third impoverished value. I believe in the last recap, Charlie had touched on two impoverished values.
The two that we discussed last week were personal peace and affluence, and we dove into I'm not going to take up too much of our time, but we dove into those two aspects in relation to the reading and life application last week. So if you want to recap yourself on that, just tune into last week if you watch it. Although this is for personal development, we're just recording ourselves, but if you do, refer to last week and catch yourself up in that way.
How did the reality of the third impoverished value reflect to you? Like, how did you reflect on it?
As I'm looking at it right now, just because we've been reading and we check in with each other week to week, and I've kind of gone ahead. Sometimes the book is very good, but I'm looking at a question, right? It says right now, here's the question: if religion is such a big part of our lives, why isn't it making more of an impact on our society? And for me, man, I struggle with that because I still, I consider myself more spiritual than religious. Like I still don't really know how that goes or anything like that. I'm still trying to figure that out. But the question in itself, that's internally, like, that's me too. Like, it still piggybacks upon that cultural Christianity that tugs at my strings, not in a bad way. It's just like I make it to fit my lifestyle, and that's not good. You know what I mean? But it's something where no one's gonna be perfect. But for myself, it could be a comfort zone. It's just like, yeah, but I pray. You know what I mean? Or some people use church as they're like, oh, I go to church every Sunday. You know what I mean? But you still, and later on, I think even in the next chapter, I'm just gonna refer to that. It talks about that, like how even if your good works, don't really mean nothing if it ain't like in your heart or nothing like that, and vice versa. Even if you're not living the best, but your heart is pure, genuine, and you still genuine within your struggle, it still counts. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, I think that's a big thing that I deal with right now too, because if you're not modeling a certain way, then some people will still just look at you like, and that could like hurt your witness a little bit, or if you're trying to help somebody, unless they really know you have an intimate connection and they don't really look at how you may appear on the outside or anything like that. They already kind of know you internally. So that's what about yourself?
Yeah, because it started touching on the reality of like how, because you hear that all the time, like, well, if Christianity is the so-called one religion, right, or the one way to God, or it is this like culturally relevant throughout all time type of religion, then why is our world suffering? Why, and why is America in the condition that it is? Why, there's all these whys.
Right.
And it's crazy because like you can see, like, depending on like where you're at spiritually, or where you're at like as far as your relationship with God, it's clear. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, even myself, I ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
are churches in the condition that they're in today? Why is there so many pastors these days who just don't reflect like pastors of 10, 20 years ago?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 30,
That old
40 years
school
ago.
type,
And not even really old school type, but just like the Christian values, like the biblical Christian like values, you know, seem to have like diminished. Not in all churches, but in a lot of churches, they seem to have diminished. And now there is like this awakening, you know, so to speak, to like this new culture of Christian values. You know what I'm saying? Like that was for, you know, that was for the Christians in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. These days, you know what I'm saying? Like we got to be able to reach, you know, this generation this way, or we got to be able to teach this generation this way. And so what happens is when you get away from like the foundational rooted values of Christianity, and you begin to, I think, like veer off to the idea of like modernizing the gospel, you'll find a nation like America kind of in the condition that it's in. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think I even read in the text, man, not to cut you off, that they say it's getting harder to tell believers from non-believers, you know what I mean? Because everybody does the same thing, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of a testament to what you're speaking on.
But then it highlights this. And it's those kind of quotes or those kind of like comments or those types of subjective, you know, views that make you. Because you know the Bible says even the demons believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they still like they believe and they tremble. You know what I'm saying? Like when Jesus put up on the scene, they identified him immediately. Like, what do you have to do with me? Like, why are you here? It's not your time yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was different things that demons said. So it's like these days, it's not a coincidence to me, or it's not even a surprise to me that so many people are able to say I believe and still you know what I'm saying? But the reality is like there's a difference between believers and but you know, not to say that because you know there are believers that are learning how to follow. I was one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm still learning how to follow.
Me too.
But it's like there are believers that just they do confess with their mouth and they express the reality that they believe, but true belief follows. You know what I'm saying? Like true belief will follow.
You won't be able to help it.
You won't. And people, and this is the thing, people who are really, really, truly kind of like still caught up in, you know, the cycle of the world, they not, you know, this is how you know, is like they not, like that crowd is not going to follow you. Following Christ. You know what I'm saying? So
no, that's not the popular thing.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I could, you know, looking inside of a church, it might be hard when you got everybody sitting down listening to a message. You might walk in and not be able to identify who's following and who's believing and who's like really truly. But if you do pay attention to your family members or people at school or whoever's in your immediate environment, I believe it's not that hard to tell who's really following. Like I said, man, it's not hard to believe.
It's not. But I will say that my experience of growing up in the church, you know what I mean? Like, especially like I consider the church I grew up like a community church. There's a few of them out in our city, you know what I mean? And the church I grew up in was one of them. So it's like you growing up, going to church with people, your peers, you know what I mean? Like, so I think as a kid, as I reflect, it's like you all going through that. It's not as real to you, you know what I mean, until you step away, you know what I mean? And then something or life circumstances bring you back to the church, you know what I mean? That's been my experience. Like I'm strong in my belief. I have in my relationship with God, not my practices so much. You know what I mean? You know, I just struggle like everybody else, but I don't just stay in that. You know what I mean? Like I try to work on things. You know what I mean? Set some goals and accomplish them, or recognize when I backslidden, you know what I mean, on something, and not just ignore it, you know what I mean. It tugs on me a little more than what it used to, you know what I mean. But I will say, growing up in it, at first, it's never a hurt to know God early, you know what I mean. But it was so much of a routine that it just was like, you know, it's what everybody do. Black people go to church, you know what I mean. Not just black people, but just, you know what I mean. We go to church.
I like to get to this too, bro. Like, we be thinking we know our parents.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Bro, like, I can guarantee you, especially with what you shared already.
Yeah.
But if you look back at the father that accepted the call at the time that you had witnessed him accept the call,
right?
If you look back at your perspective of your father then, having grown all these years, been through what you've been through, and now your relationship with him now as a grown man, how you've been able to find each other in these pockets of life, it's different.
Definitely so.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
true.
I believe it's the same with the Lord. Like, it's like when you're young,
I like that.
you know, we're introduced to him.
That's true.
And we see him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As we're able to. We talk to him as we're able to.
Definitely.
We're defiant in our ways. We're still trying to learn what's going on with this flesh and then we get far removed from our home and we get into a place to where it's crazy because only he can identify us in a way to where we like nobody else may understand. It's like your parents. Nobody can understand you like them because they watched you grow up.
That's true.
But spiritually beyond that, he's the one that like he finds us in that pocket and he's like, and he speaks to us in a way and he knows how to communicate to you, let you know this ain't a religious thing.
Nah, it ain't.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's not about
take
that.
your time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and just, you know, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna work this out. Just keep believing in me in a way that leads you to follow me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just
like
be comfortable believing in me, and that's it on a surface level.
I like stories, you know, and I remember, my mind takes me back to stories I remember, like in the Bible. Like, remember they was on the ship. You know what I mean? I think God, I don't know.
Jesus at the bottom of the ship?
Or was at the bottom, you know, and it was stormy out. You know what I mean? And he was right there in their midst. You know what I mean? But I still had to be reminded, and they with him. He's right down there. You know what I mean? And you still. So that was what I'm reminded of when you said that. Just like, just focus on me.
Right. And he knew, and that's the thing is like, faith is deep, man, because it's like people fought them.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard it expressed from this perspective, but I get it.
Jealous, like, you got to walk with him.
No, but this, like, peep this out. Jesus is supposed to be to them the person that is the Messiah.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be like, he's supposed to be everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's supposed to be the king. He's supposed to come back and, like, you know, just make everything right. They're on a ship and it starts to storm and they panic because usually I imagine a storm, they're fishermen.
Yeah. Not on
so
the
if they're identifying a storm, these are fishermen. They know most of them. They know that this is one of them storms.
Yeah.
And they like, okay, we out here. And this is supposed to be the savior of the world. I think it was a whole other type of panic that took over because it's like, wait a minute,
he right here and it's
he
still
with
going
us
on,
too.
Yeah, but he allows it.
And they went down there to wake him, and he just like, look, man, you know what I'm saying?
Relax.
Like, how great is your faith? Like, just chill. And he said to the storm, you know, peace be still.
Yeah.
And the storm came to a calm, and they was like,
like he had to remind them real quick.
Right. But it's like, how would they have known to just think about it? It's like, how would they have known to just look at him and be like, let's just talk to the storm and tell the storm no.
Yeah.
Like, how, you know?
They still had to doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doubt. And so yeah, man.
That's powerful though. Definitely powerful.
But I'm gonna step into this real quick. It says, while Christianity is flourishing, our culture is no longer guided by Christian values. Some people call this a post-Christian culture. Here's what is interesting. While 1 in 3 are evangelical today, in 1800, Only 1 in 14 of America's 5.3 million citizens belong to an evangelical church. So while the number of Christians in America has grown dramatically, Christianity has always been in the minority in America.
Definitely. I see that.
And then going down here, it says, so while Christianity itself continues to flourish, secular culture no longer rests on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah.
Essentially, Christianity and non-Christianity are both growing, but in different directions. So don't make the mistake of saying that Christianity is not working. It is. It is non-Christianity that is not working. Where our culture is wholesome, it is because of Christians and non-Christians who still hold on to Judeo-Christian values. Everything else is a moral mess. Don't make the mistake of judging Christianity by the failures of non-Christianity. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it, you know,
Still to give you hope, you know.
yeah,
what I mean?
and
Like,
just
yeah.
and just to understand that it's like, and it's crazy because it's unfortunate, but it's like anything. It's like when I became a father, it's like, okay, you're a father now, and I'm just admitting this because it is a mistake that I made,
Right.
and I keep kind of making the mistake, but I'm growing out of it.
Yeah.
Now being a father is serious.
Yeah.
There's
Most definitely.
It's something to be studied. I think what's interesting is that, so they don't, like, a lot of, I think that's what makes it, like, a lot of what you see nowadays in the news about just like churches, pastors,
Yeah.
congregations, how it's being made such a big deal, you know, when kids want to pray in school, or when kids or teachers have to be careful
Yeah.
about, you know, how they identify themselves throughout the day when it comes to either saying the word Jesus, the name
Yeah.
Jesus, or just being a believer.
I have to train people not to.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But this is the
Yeah.
thing. The unfortunate thing about the reality of, like, having media where it is today is that that's what is sensationalized. So they'll take, if one of your staff was to be like, you know, I want to work here so bad,
Yeah.
but the fact that, and your situation is different, in the organization that you work with and the kids
Right.
that you work with, it's different.
Right.
In school,
Yeah.
it's kind of a contradiction because in school, it's okay for, these days in certain
Yeah.
schools, it's okay for my son, whom I identify as a cat
Yeah.
or a dog,
Yeah.
to go into a restroom that's identified for girls
Yeah.
and be there.
Yeah.
But if at the same time a young girl is like,
Let me pray.
let me pray about this situation,
They gonna
she
be
gets
up in
suspended.
arms, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Straight up.
But, and I say that to say, like, culturally,
Yeah.
this is the norm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it forces and pushes people around to make the decision
Yeah.
of, should I stand and push a line, or should I just fall back?
Fall back.
10 years later, then you just have a whole nother progressive movement
Yeah.
of, like, you know, just a softer
Yeah.
and more acceptable front line of followers of Christ. Not
Yeah.
not to say that you have still the individuals who have always been, like, you know, solid and just kind of like unwavering and
Right.
unmoving
And how they move.
in
yeah.
how they move. But it's like, even they're kind of, you know, even, you know, I'll just say we're, you know, kind of comfortable in the sense of, like, don't want to make too much noise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Don't want to ruffle too many feathers.
I
yeah.
don't want my church to be sensationalized. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, on the
Yeah.
news, or I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, and
caught
so
up in that wave.
caught up
yeah.
in the web or the wave. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, but anyway, I mean, with all due respect though to, like, individuals that don't necessarily know what they doing, they just
Mhm.
they don't even know that the decision that they've made to push the way that they push
Mm-hmm.
is, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
contradicting, or
Yeah.
you know, it's just there's so many different lanes now. You know what I'm saying?
it
Like
is.
there's
It
so
is.
many different lanes. I mean, there's over 4,000 and something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like denominations.
Even my dad, he used to be he still has some Muslim practices that he does. You know what I mean? I asked him about it too, like, because I just know, especially even, you know, a lot of my peers, yourself being incarcerated in prisons and stuff like that. I know, like Muslim, you know, people feel like, or our people feel like it caters to the black part of it. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of that will mix up people too when it's not supposed to be a color-based type of thing. But I do know we have a lot of peers that I'll just be happy for people to get off. Like if you was on violence, drug dealing, whatever, you know what I mean, whatever the subculture was that was negative and destructive, like I just like to see the baby steps up out of it, you know what I mean? Like even if you're not everybody's gonna be a Christian,
Right.
You know what I mean? Not everybody's gonna be a Muslim, not everybody's gonna be a Hebrew Israelite, you know what I mean? Not everybody's gonna be on what some individual or group is pushing wholeheartedly as
Right.
a true believer, you know what I mean? So I also like to remind myself of that too, like, you know, I thank God for that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, we have peers that really could be messing some stuff up, you know, ourselves, you know what I mean? But for whatever reason, your heartstrings were tugged at, you know what I mean? It has you progressing spiritually, you know what I mean? And that's what I think this book does, like it pulled. But for us to be focusing more from a Christian standpoint, Christian faith, you know what I mean? But just remind ourselves it's a process for everybody, man. We and these outside sources that we battle against, they're heavy. You know what I mean? Like you said, you'll see these battles in school, praying in school. Like I said, I train people not to be bringing up religion and stuff like that or press it on no kids. You'll be in a lawsuit. So, you know, it's one of those things again, like, do you want to do what you know is morally probably right, you know what I mean, or take care of your kids, you know what I mean? And I'm not looking down on nobody because I train people to do it. I'm gonna take care of my kids, you know, even though I don't necessarily morally line up with how everything is done, you know what I mean? But that's part of life, man.
You got this subtopic, too busy. It says Ron Jensen rented a travel, it's 68,
Okay.
a travel camper and traveled around the country with his wife while working on his doctoral thesis. His task was to interview 350 Christian leaders. At the end of his tour, he made a discouraging observation. He said, "I found a great deal of zeal for God's work, but very little passion for God." That's deep, man.
Yeah, it is.
The one exception he found was Crew founder Bill Bright, who wept openly as he spoke about his love for Jesus. Many of us are busy doing, but are not keeping our personal relationship with God in tune. And that even like pushes around, and I'm just gonna be transparent, when I was talking earlier about doing.
Yeah.
Like if you're not careful, you can do to the point of a religious mindset or reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or you can do in the sense of like you just do yourself into believing that it's part of you like earning your salvation.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not the type of doing I was talking about.
Right.
I was just saying just being actionable with what it is that you actually receive
Right.
from the Lord.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like just like with what we try to do with what we receive from this book
Right.
throughout the week. You know what I'm saying?
Application.
Just application, but
That is deep. Yeah.
it says we can become so busy for Christ that we live in defeat in important areas of our personal lives. Christ said to another group of Christians, "I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people, that you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. You have persevered and have endured hardships for my name and have not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you, for you have forsaken the love that you had at first." And I wonder, like, I even wonder if I used to battle with that. Like, man, do you have to be in love or know what love is like? How do you, God, how am I, I used to pray that a lot. I used to be like, Lord, help me to love you. Help me to learn how to love you. Because when I read scriptures like that, I think because we identified so much with, like I love to set, or I love, you know what I'm saying, like just the whole reality of like what love, what it meant.
Distorted in our stuff.
It's like when you see like you left your first love, it's like, man, what does that mean for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord, like help me to understand. Have I ever even really truly been in love with you or loved you?
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
have you ever even been in love with him?
And then if that's the case, if not, does that put in question me as
am I not as strong as I thought?
And am I not, like, do I have to love you like that to actually be a true, saved, child of yours? Like, but mind you, like those are the kind of questions that you gotta ask and just release it, because the enemy will play. Enemy will play in your head.
And you could give up off of that. You know what I mean?
But they're valid. You know what I'm saying?
True.
They're valid questions.
True, definitely so. I agree with you on that, man. I'm going back to the God's. It says, I found a great deal of zeal found people that had a great deal of zeal for God's work, but very little passion for God. And it just makes you question yourself.
Because there's a
like
difference.
Yeah, man, that is a difference. Even myself, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, that's me. Like, day to day, I make sure, like, when I get up in the morning, I pray, say my morning prayer, from my family, peers, community, whatever, and make sure I do something godly. You know what I'm saying? In the day I do, like, you know what I mean? Not like with a false intention, like let me go give some money to some home. Not like that, but just in a natural progression. Like I'll say, like let me catch my moments. You know what I mean? Because I'm not super social. You know what I mean? I'm not, but if I have those moments of like intimacy, like at a gas station or something like that, and someone struggling with their groceries or anything, like help me do those good works. You know what I'm saying? But that's a fallacy when I need to be just as eager to let me make sure I make it to church. You know what I mean? Or make Bible study or something to sharpen my tools up. You know what I mean? Like you in a battle and your tools are rusty, you know what I mean? And you have to study to show yourself approved. So I think of myself in that and like assessing my own, where I'm at with mine. Like, man, a lot of people have a lot of zeal to do good and to treat people kind and accept, not disrespect or step over or on people. You know what I mean? But is that...
And that's the thing. And
you know what I mean?
It's like a lot of us have a zeal for what he's done. And what he does and what we know he's going to do. But we're learning how to have that zeal for who he is. Just like who he is.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's a hard concept to grasp, because our thoughts are not like his. Our ways are not like his. Our words are not like his. They're not his. So it's like, how do, like, and it's only, it's only when you make the intention to be actionable. To respond, I think, in what he's done for you, or what you see him do in others' lives. Like that situation of like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? I can actually be a bridge here, or I can be of service here, and actually do it with no ulterior motive. God just has a way of showing up to kind of like touch you. And give you a glimpse of who he is. That's because of what you've done as a result of what that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would do. But I think that's when he shows up. That's when he, mind you, this is just one thought from me. I know that there's so many others that can speak to how God has revealed him to them. And they've been able to appreciate more of who he is. But we're all as children in a way, all of us who believe in a way to where, it just might take you to move in a certain way that might, lead him to opening up himself to you in a certain way to where you just like, you can appreciate him for who he is versus what he's done. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a trip, man, because even me, I've had examples of it all around me. My dad, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, rough life. I ain't gonna go all into it, you know what I mean? But, you know, Vietnam vet, it struggled the time period he was born in, you know what I mean? In the movement, you know what I mean?
How old
all
is your
that shoot, I don't even know. He's in late 70s, I know that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So he was part of, you know, in Vietnam at 17, you know what I mean? 17 to 19, and in Oakland with the move, you know what I mean? So I know his struggle, and I've seen him accept his calling, you know what I mean? But it still took, that's in my immediate household, so I'm not like viewing the miracle in front of me, you know what I mean?
You're not even able to just yet.
I'm not. I can see it more now, but it took, honestly, I'm gonna use you as an example too. Like, even when you first set up in my house, man, I was like, is he really changed? Not like, is he really changed? But I'm like, man, this is like, I needed to see. It inspired me a lot. Like, you know, I'm like, sometimes, and he just revealed it in the form of you, you know what I mean? And other peers that I know that come from a walk of life that God really did a 360 on them. Not saying they perfect, you know what I mean? Flawed individuals, but definitely not what they used to be, you know what I mean? And that's a testament to what you're saying, man. Some people, he just, like, I know what he needs, you know what I mean, for him to kickstart it.
And it don't matter what nobody else say. There's too many examples in the Word.
It is a whole
where people, if they worried about what people, you know what I'm saying? I think ultimately that's,
look at Paul. He used to kill Christians, man.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Even look at Judas.
Exactly.
Like Judas, I don't think he would have ran off the deep end if he didn't really, and this is just my thoughts.
Yeah.
If he didn't, because what him and Peter did was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, Peter betrayed Christ in one way.
Yeah.
Judas betrayed Christ in another way. It was both betrayals.
Yeah.
But they both had action.
Yeah, they did.
At forgiveness.
Yeah,
they both had action at grace and mercy. They both had action. But Judas didn't hang around long enough.
No, he took his own
Christ,
life.
He took his own life.
Yeah.
And I can imagine he just couldn't see himself around that band of brothers no more once it was revealed. Dang, this is the Christ.
I turned my back on him.
And I actually like, you know what I'm saying? And just thinking about what people would say or what people would do, and it's like he killed himself. For Peter, probably the same excruciating feeling, like, but like he had like seen what God was doing.
He knocked him off the horse, right? On the Damascus Road. Was that Peter?
No, that was Paul.
Never mind.
Yeah, that was Paul. No, Peter was the dude who walked on water.
Doubtful Peter.
No, that was Doubtful Thomas.
Doubtful Thomas.
Yeah, but Peter was the dude who walked on water.
Okay.
Peter was the dude who told Jesus, "No, you're not going to the cross." Like, and then Christ said, "Get behind me, Satan."
Okay.
Peter was the one that denied Christ 3 times. Christ told him that
he said he was going to do it.
He said he was going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then Christ came back and said, "I love you." You know what I'm saying? No, do you love me 3 times? And he told him, "Feed his sheep." But Peter was also the one of the 12, when Christ resurrected, he was nowhere to be. Well, he was somewhere to be found because Mary knew where he was.
Right.
But he was nowhere. Who was at the grave? The Marys.
The ladies. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene and his mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Marys. They were there. You know what I'm saying? Christ appeared to them, told them what he told them. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's all throughout the Bible, even from like the Mary Magdalenes to like the 2 brothers, the sons of thunder. These two dudes was like. First, their mom was like asking Jesus, "Can my one son sit at the right hand and the other son sit at the left hand of you?"
Yeah.
And then they both were in confrontation over that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway.
All kinds of good examples in the
it's like we all have the ones that were closest to him, man.
Yeah. They
had their own. They was with him.
Yeah. And what makes us think he could go through all of that? Anything that what I'm amazed at now in my older age, man, is just that. How powerful the stuff is that God went through, you know, that Jesus went through, you know what I mean, walking around in flesh form, you know what I mean, betrayal, all backstabbing, all kinds of stuff, man, just the worst, you know what I mean, gave us the blueprint if we really pay attention and seek it out, like you said, fall in love or get to have a relationship and really study who is this man. I'll go look at a documentary on whatever I want to research about who is this individual, where they come from. I need to probably have the same zeal to like understand who I believe in, you know what I mean? And who knows what that could transform into,
right?
You know
what I'm saying? A zeal to know like who you are, Lord, that's like that's a great addition to a daily prayer.
Scary
because
too.
yeah, and it's scary too because the more he reveals himself to you about who he is,
Yeah.
the more you will.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about Stephen in the Bible. Stephen
do.
is
You
the
gotta
one.
remind me.
Stephen is the one I believe, bro, that shook Paul when he was Saul.
Mm.
Stephen was someone who he was a devout, Holy Spirit filled individual in the Word. Like
Look, he had all the stuff.
walked it out,
yeah.
man. Like they was coming to do what they were coming to do. And Saul and Stephen stood and expressed, like, from the beginning all the way to the point of when Christ was crucified, and was like, man, the blood is on y'all's hands. And they didn't want to hear
telling
that.
everybody.
He just
man.
put it on them. But it was a situation, I don't think he kept telling everybody, but this situation where Saul and his goons, they was coming to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And he just happened to be someone that was there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reason why, this is the truth, man. The
What's
reason
up?
why I'm just making sure I didn't cut off.
Yeah.
The reason why I really, really like take to these kind of like stories in the Bible is because I can remember when we would be active
Mm-hmm.
and we would hear that those that we actually wanted to get at were at a certain location,
Mm-hmm.
and we would pop up. And I've experienced it
Firsthand. Yeah.
where we pop up,
Mhm.
and we know by
Yeah.
looking that there are the majority that when they see us,
Yeah.
they're like, dang, it's them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's always one,
Yeah.
he's knocked off the horse.
Yeah.
He's the only one that we have recorded that gets blinded.
Yeah. Mm. That's true.
God says what he says to him,
Yeah.
you know.
Why you
So
persecute me?
why are you persecuting me? Why are you kicking
Yeah.
against the goals? And he's
Yeah.
like, Lord, mind you, out of his mouth.
Call
Now,
him Lord. Yeah.
he says, Lord, who are you? And he says, I am Jesus, in whom you are persecuting. Why do you kick against the goads? And he's pretty much like, immediately, bro. Immediately, mind you.
You
All right,
turn.
what do you want me to
Got on this
do?
or it went.
He says, but this is the thing, he didn't even tell him to turn around. He said, keep going
Oh yeah, he did.
Keep going.
Yeah.
in the direction that you
Now
was
your
going
name
on the
is
path.
Paul, yeah.
Goes and wait. He goes, waits in a specific place. He sends can't remember the brother's name, starts with an A. Tells him to go pray. Tells him to go pray. Lay hands on him. You know what I'm saying? And he's waiting for him. Dude looks back at the Lord and is like, Lord, do you know who this
He
is?
is the man that be killing us.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
I say all that to say,
Powerful though.
Saul believed that he knew God based off of what he knew he did.
Right. He
You
was
know what I'm
killing
saying?
under that pretense.
Under
he
that
thought
pretense.
He was doing the good
But
work.
he didn't know God
He didn't know his
personally.
maker, so God had to show him.
He had to
right,
show him.
show
You know what
him
I'm saying? And from that moment and from that point on, you read all through Acts,
Yeah.
you'll see that the way Paul describes that testimony,
Yeah.
he starts, guess where he starts his testimony from?
Where?
From Stephen.
From that experience.
From that experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In most cases, he talks about that experience
Yeah.
because so anyway, I say that
Nah,
to say
that's deep stuff, man.
that's how a lot of us get brought to know
Yeah.
who the Lord is.
Especially if you're hard-headed or stubborn, or you a true believer in any facet. You know what I mean? It might take something dramatic like that for him to just knock you off your horse. You know what I mean? I like that, man. I'm reminded of a lot of the parables and stories of like how God uses my dad too. That's one thing I remember about him, man. Like, because maybe it was just a testament to his life, like how he uses the people who the world would cast away. You know what I mean? Or look down on. You know what I mean? And use them. You know what I mean? To spread his word. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need that poison in the antidote. You know what I mean? A lot of times, especially now in the world we living in. Going back to what we started off in the beginning, man, with churches looking the way they do, and we already talked about where 2 or 3 are gathered, you know, means there, it might be our kind of not calling, but like our mission that like you got to go out and find, you know what I mean? You got to go out. You got to step outside your comfort zone, man. Especially people ain't coming to you. You got to go to them. You know what I mean? I'm reminded of who did God say was a man after his own heart. For
David.
people that like that man wanted somebody's woman. You know what I mean?
David.
Like looked at wasn't he watching her bathe on the roof?
He was on the roof,
Man,
bro.
like that's one of my
And
stories. I'm like, so don't
he wasn't even supposed to be. He was supposed to be with all the other kings. He was supposed to be out at war, bro. And he was out
gazing, gazing, and had her man on the front, sent to the front line and killed. But God still said, "That's a man after my own heart." Those things, man, that's hope for us. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he uses killers, uses drug dealers, uses pimps, uses everything. You know what I mean? And when he wants you to be used, you can't help it.
And it's really only the people that don't experience certain things that believe that there's a difference between, you know, there's a difference between who's a believer and who's not. Someone might look at a pimp that says they believe in Jesus, and they might easily be able to say, see, this is why in that book it says that.
Use the scripture to...
Or this is why in The Man in the Mirror, when it was saying, like, it's hard to tell the Christians from the non-Christians. Or the cultural from the biblical. Nah, it's just like the only who can really tell is the Lord.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we just speculating. Because no one knows at the end of the day who. Like, we see, man, there's so many examples in this Bible, man. But I mean, I keep saying in this Bible, this ain't the Bible, y'all. This is The Man in the Mirror, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a scripturally based book, so it, you know, you reflect on the word a lot.
We got scripture references all day. Which direction you want to head to?
Let's go to Patient for Change. That's right before the questions. It says, when I became a you want to read that?
Yeah, I will. I'll read this little excerpt. Patient for Change. When I became a Christian, I asked God for help on 2 serious practical problems I struggled with. The first was cursing. Almost instantly, without any help or assistance from me, the cursing ceased. My wife mentioned one day, "Pat, you hardly swear at all anymore." I was flabbergasted. I had made no conscious effort to stop, nor was I aware that a change had even occurred. The other struggle was my temper. I would become too angry. Many regrettable words escaped from my mouth. Although the Lord quickly helped me with cursing, the temper problem lingered for 5 long tearful years. Virtually every day I would have to ask for forgiveness. There were many tears and long prayers pleading with God for help, but 5 years passed before my level of anger became a normal person's level of anger. Here's the point. We didn't get to the men we are overnight. We didn't get to be the men we are overnight. And we may need to allow some time, perhaps a long time, before we will see our lives the way we want them to be. Boom, good way to, I love that. What you unpack that?
I'm just, bro, you know, these are confirmations for me.
Yes, they
man.
are.
You know what I'm saying? Because
not overnight, man.
It's not gonna be overnight, bro. Like, and this is
perhaps a long time.
And these are just a few things. Like you know, sometimes we have issues we don't even realize are the issues. So it's like for him it was anger and cursing, but I'm sure after the cursing and anger were dealt with, there were some other things that begin to, you know, surface. And so, yeah, I think you have to be patient for change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And this is the thing. God is the most, God, like, I wonder sometimes what his definition of some of the words we've given definitions from, because it's like patience. If God is saying I'm patient with you, and I'm like, yeah, I need patience. My perspective of patience, he's patient with a whole creation.
Man.
All of us at the same time.
Same time, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And a wife. And it's like my patience right now, you know, 3 kids. She's pregnant with 1.
Yeah.
But, you know, things happen biologically.
Yeah.
And environmentally, and spiritually, when pregnancy is a reality.
Yeah.
Our whole environment has changed. The atmosphere is different.
Yeah.
And patience is one of the things that we're actually being grown up in. Grace.
Getting tested on right now.
Getting tested on. And we got a little puppy.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Who just loves to bark. You know,
Your
and
patience wearing thin.
right. And today was one of them days.
Yeah.
Like I read this and I'm just
Yeah.
like anger, frustration, you know,
Yeah.
cursing I ain't got a problem with. But it's
Yeah.
crazy. These two
Yeah.
for me were highlighted. But I know at the end of the day, I just gotta be patient and ask God to help me to tap into his patience so that I can understand all the more how to be who I need to be for my family in the best way. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think, let me ask you, do you think that patience, in relation to patience, for you, where you at, what you just disclosed right now, do you think that's probably one of your, if we could label a top 3, is that one of your top right now?
Patience isn't a top 3 for me.
No? What
It is, but this is the thing. It's like patience, I don't even know how to say this, like, because I need, like I'm saying I need like anger, it is in my top 3.
Yeah.
But I need to be patient with my family at certain times. If I get rest
Yeah.
or I work out, I don't really have a problem with it. I don't like my
You're
patience
good.
is just,
Yeah.
but there's times where I need to reach down in the reserves. So that's why I say patience isn't at the top. It's not
Okay.
something that I consistently struggle with.
Okay.
We're in a season right now where she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So it is, you know, we both have to lean on each other.
But you have an understanding.
But we have an understanding of like
Gotcha.
what actually will help us to not be
Okay.
as angry or frustrated or, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But my top 3 would more so be insecurity, anger, and busyness. You know what I'm saying? Like those 3 things are what I seriously need help. Like I need help every day with God. You know what I'm saying? Like believing in myself, not being angry. You know what I'm saying?
Does that insecurities, you said that, right?
Yeah,
Does
insecurity.
that fuel the anger?
It's crazy, man. They all kind of feed each other.
Feed each other,
Yeah.
feed off each other.
The more busy I am, the more tired I am, the more likely I am to have
Negative thought process.
yeah, like all of the things that come at me, you know what I'm saying, about present, past, future, or, you know, the enemy or certain ideas that, you know, life is just putting out through these different mediums my children are trying to latch on to, or my wife may be trying to latch on to or something. It infuriates me. Because and it makes me realize as a man I'm limited. There's only so much that I can actually control, and that's why, you know, I need the Lord. But I sometimes I'm honestly I just be too tired, to like tap in, and be as consistent with prayer and reading like I should. I'm doing a little better, but I could be doing a whole lot better. You know what I'm saying? I could be. That's just the real.
I like that, man. Forgive me, I just wanted to ask that just out of pure curiosity. You know what I mean? Because that's a good way. Patient for change is, and it's towards the end of our chapter too. Is a good way, and I know the start of chapter 4, it's gonna tie right into that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go too far, but definitely, man. Like, I'll say in my life, man, right now, patience. I think I'm like kind of like you with that. Like I lose patience at times, but as long as I'm informed and have information and I have an understanding, I could kind of gauge that and keep it at bay. Insecurity is one, not like a more internal, like a fear of like not reaching my potential that I know, not necessarily knowing what it's gonna look like, but nervous, like, am I gonna get there? You know what I mean? Because I do believe I'm equipped to get there. You know what I mean? And anger, for sure. You know what I mean? Anger.
I gotta kind of take that back. I think about it now. Something you just said too. It helped me to reflect though. I be thinking I be being patient, but the only reason why I'm able to be patient sometimes is because I remove myself from situations or I shut down. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm being honest, patience probably is right now. I still kind of be operating like I'm single. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like I'm in the pen.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, and what I used to do,
Isolate
myself. I'll go to work You know what I'm saying? Or I'll go work
Busy,
out,
you
or
said
I'll
busy.
just keep myself busy and
Yeah.
away from what's
Yeah.
potentially gonna push me into,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, let me get out of this before I get
Yeah.
impatient.
And you know, I did that for a long time, and I'm thrusting myself back. You know what I mean? And it's testy. You know what I mean? We shared on, not gonna divulge all that stuff, but you know, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And we both talked about some things. You're like, well, man, you know, my patience would wear thin. You know what I mean? Like, so definitely.
And so
man.
I be thinking I'm protecting myself and my family by just removing myself from a situation before I get impatient, but that's not necessarily growing my patience.
True. Smart. You know,
It-
move to not be in environments or put yourself in situations that could be hazardous to you.
Right, but it's deceitful to tell myself
You're good at
I'm
being
patient.
patient.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, when you being good at
So,
avoiding
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And that's so my patience
That's a
really
good
isn't
assessment.
growing at the level that I believe, and God probably believes like
Yeah.
here is what will grow your patience. You know what I'm saying?
You mind if we do? You want to? I don't know what the time scale is. You want to go into some focus questions?
Yeah, let's
and end
step
on
in.
those.
Let's-
I'm gonna ask you. I'm
Okay.
gonna read the first one for you. One. Think of a Christian couple you know who is having marriage problems. In what ways do you think their conformity to cultural values has contributed to their struggle?
If I'm honest, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really know.
Too many.
Well, I'll say this. I know a Christian couple. We're not close,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately, through just being a Christian and being around people who talk sometimes, the reality of why these individuals ended up getting divorced is unknown to me. But the divorce process that this Christian couple is actually in and going through, it's pretty deep. And yeah, like I believe both of them were kind of like distracted by
Yeah.
the reality of how much a certain business made.
Yeah.
One of the individuals caught up in the rat race.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The individual that was the CEO of the company.
Right.
And then, you know, the other individual raising the children, and then kind of meeting in the middle, but not necessarily having that foundation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Going to church. So I would say like, maybe just, being kind of caught up in the entrepreneurial
rat
reality
race. Yeah.
of the rat race, and the money, you know what I'm saying, was good, but their marriage was falling apart, and money was probably supplementing, you know what I'm saying, a lot of,
Okay.
stuff. So
I'm gonna read number 2 for you, so that we, let's go into number 2. Dr. Francis Schaeffer says that modern society has 2 impoverished values: personal peace and affluence. Do you agree with Dr. Schaeffer? Why or why not?
I agree.
You do?
Yeah, I agree. If you look on YouTube, or you look on TikTok, or you look on any of these platforms, the majority of the things that are being communicated by companies marketing, businesses, or everyone is shooting this, pretty much trying to encourage, you shouldn't be working a regular job. You should have your own business.
Yeah.
You should be making 7 figures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You should be, celebrating life every day, working from a computer in, some remote location.
Right.
And that pushes us around to believing that we need to be living an affluent life, and that seeking out personal peace is the biggest benefit.
Yeah.
And it's not. If the only piece you're worried about is yours,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there might be,
Yeah.
you might need to reevaluate that.
Yeah.
And if you're seeking out affluence over everyone else or everything else, it might be an issue.
No, I agree too, man. I would say, just for the same reasons, man. We have a lot of comparisons. People comparing themselves to this celebrity or this neighbor. You know what I mean? What they have, they got the boat, the fast car, and there's nothing wrong with the material. You know what I mean? Having things. I don't want people to get that confused. I don't believe there's nothing wrong with having things or going to buy yourself something. But it's a problem in the thought process. Like if you're doing it because you want some more likes, you know what I mean, or some more people to view you a certain way. You know what I mean? Like then I think that's extremely unhealthy. And number 3 says, in what ways have you pursued the values of personal peace and affluence?
I can get long-winded on here. I'm a discipline myself though. I think I kind of didn't really understand what was taking place, but these are the 2 things that happened in my first year or 2 of being released from my prison, my incarcerated situation. I didn't want to have to deal with a homie making me upset as a result of saying something silly concerning my change. You know what I'm saying? I understood that people didn't understand. But at the same time, I had yet to been like tested in the sense of me being able to not control how I feel in person as a result of hearing someone or feeling someone's energy towards me about my transition. And so it put me in a position to where I felt like I'm gonna prioritize myself before I prioritize you. At the same time though, I am prioritizing you and your safety. You know what I'm saying? And me and my safety, because it don't need to be nothing more than what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I like the way you broke that down. That's a deep one too. And I share similar thoughts with that. That's very, you know, you're not seeking approval from people, but you just don't. It's like, you know, you don't want anything antagonistic or bad to happen, you know, for a good, you know, while you're on something good.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're really trying to inspire other people too, you know what I mean? But at the same time, understanding that everybody has the right to believe how they want to believe, you know what I mean? But I get what you're saying, and that's a hard battle to fight.
But that's what I didn't feel. Like every time I thought about potentially being around someone, I felt like you would have to like, because I'm Timothy and I had been walking this out for 6 years. But I would be in a situation to where I would feel like this person is going to expect me to be some parts Baby G Man. And I was like, if you know me, you're not going to actually even require any of that of me. Because you're going to know that I am who I am. I'm just not him. But if you know me, you're going to get...
You know I'm sincere in anything I'm
You know what I'm saying? So you're going to get the essence of me.
Exactly.
Which is what drove that person. At the end of the day though, now I'm rested and I want to stay in this peace. And every time I'm around someone, I'm thinking like, so you know what I'm saying? Like the thought of having to conform to a certain level of understanding for someone else, it bothered me. And I was like, nah, I gotta have total peace. And because I value myself over, and that's what would start to take place too, is like, if you don't value me for wanting to value me, then, you know, I had to be careful because a lot of me was trying to believe in a way like I'm not better than you, but I am bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want you to feel that. Because you already know, man. Some people, you know, we get that short man's complex in a way. And I was saying spiritually, I'm in a bigger place. You know what I'm saying? And I can't afford to come down and operate as Baby G Man, because that'll make me small enough to get manhandled again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I felt...
And that's not a battle.
It's not a
fight.
Right.
It's not. I'm gonna get to this next question. It says, are you more financially successful than your parents? Is the quality of your personal life more successful than your parents? Why or why not? If you feel like answering. I'll answer first on this one. No, I'm not more financially better than my parents. They're still together. You know, different time period, but no, I'm not. I did not set up myself. You know, I didn't set myself up as a young man. I wasn't even thinking that far out. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do that now, though. You know what I mean? Is the quality of your personal life more successful than your parents? That's a weird question to me, man. No, I'm gonna say no. but I'm on my way. Like I feel this is just my view. You know what I mean? Of my my parents, and especially where they at in their life right now, how old they are. I know people know their households and their families, man. I just know what we got going on. It wasn't easy, you know what I mean, and it's still not easy. And I know just through stuff we go through that God is just God. That's all we holding on to. You know what I mean? Like. And so with that alone, that always constantly in my life, no, because I know that they're stronger in their faith. You know what I mean? Like they're stronger in their faith. They're older, going through certain things. You know what I mean? And I still look at their experiences sometimes, be like, oh my man, if I have to go through something like that, I might lose it. You know what I mean? Like so, I just gauge it on that. If you can gauge, you know what I mean? I don't know how to compare that, you know what I mean? But I just know, like, they're older, you know what I mean? They've been through more things that maybe I'm headed towards, you know what I'm saying? Same thing I kind of tell with my kids that I work with. It's like, I've been your age, you haven't been mine, you know what I mean? Not saying that I've been through everything you've been through, but, I've been your age, you know what I mean? So a lot of things socially or just developmentally I could tap into with you. There's certain things about in this stage or this age that you have no clue about yet. You know what I mean? What about yourself?
I don't even know if I can answer that question, to be honest. Because my parents are divorced. They both went through their own, cycle of life in a way. And I believe, it's just at this point, I'm not sure. I mean, I have a company. My dad had a company. I have employees. So it's like
that's hard.
you know what I'm saying. That's a hard one for me.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna pick out another. We have like 4 more left. I want to pick something.
We can run through them. I'll ask you.
Run through them. Okay. Cool.
How would you define cultural Christianity?
Not to be too long with it. Cultural Christianity. What was my definition I gave myself the other day? I substituted cultural for comfortable Christian. You know what I mean? Like, and as a definition, just being comfortable, trying to have my cake and eat it too. This for me, individualized, like not intentionally, but just seeing how I let my lifestyle, like God is not number one. You know what I mean? Like, in my heart, you know what I mean? I believe that, you know what I mean? That he is. I know he is, you know what I mean? But in my practice, like, it's not, I'm still not to where I'm still being comfortable, like where I'll put a workout before going to church or doing something like that. Not saying I'm all heavy in the church. I'm hoping that I could get there, you know what I mean? But I'm still that tight, you know what I mean? I'm still comfortable in my habits, you know what I mean? Like, certain habits I'm still comfortable in. I'm not even assessing them, you know what I mean? Just like, even though I know there's a hindrance, you know what I mean, there. So that's my definition of cultural Christianity, or just conforming Christian, like conforming to, like you said about the schools, you know what I mean? Like, I'm one of them too. I'm not gonna ruffle too many feathers as long as I'm not, like at my job, as long as I don't like that, I have to train people not to bring up God. I have to tell them, like, don't do that. Don't influence these kids on your beliefs. You know what I mean? Let them figure their own paths. We nurture their own development, but don't push it on them. But I really don't like that in certain aspects. You know what I mean? So, but I'm falling back. You know what I mean? So that's my definition: comfortable. You know what I mean? Or conforming. You know what I mean? What about you?
I would say a contradicting, like someone who contradicts, someone who contradicts like Christian, like the truest of the rooted Christian values. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who compromises and contradicts. You know what I'm saying? And it's really like, and it's really trendy. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like, culture shifts. Like they're willing to give up. Like I'm willing to give up the way that, just so to speak, like the way that we worship and the way that we actually like run our church service to get more young people in here, or to make the older people feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Versus like doing what you know God is leading you to do. So it's like you have people who are, they're driven by culture.
Yeah.
What the culture says is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But that's what got Saul in trouble.
Yeah.
Like that's what got King Saul in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how I would define it.
Okay. Number 6, it says, after reading this chapter, would you call yourself a biblical Christian or a cultural Christian? Why?
This is the one right here, man.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Because there was a question where it asked for a percentage. You know what I'm saying? So I would just defer to that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think I said 75. I think I said 85-15 or like 75-25 or something like that. It's somewhere within that range.
More on the biblical end.
More on the
more on the
biblical.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? More on the biblical
Right.
culture.
I like that.
Than cultural.
I like that. Man, this book make you face yourself, man. So percentage wise, just not take too much time. Man, how can I give myself a real brutal one?
Just a real honest one.
And I'm trying to be honest.
But it's gonna be brutal probably to you.
I'm probably 60-40. 60-40 or 50-50. That don't sound good, and that's not good because I know, but why I say that though is because
that's the next question.
Know.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
we can just go into the next one.
All right, let's go read the next one.
So it says, if you are a cultural Christian, how do you think you became that way?
Insecurity, giving up, just giving up. You know what I mean? Hopelessness contributed into my worldview at that time, or being a comfortable Christian, even though I was a believer. You know what I mean? I remember when I accepted Christ. You know what I mean? Even though I didn't know all the aspects, I knew no one forced me to go walk down the aisle. Like, you know what I mean? Even though I went with a little group, I think it was 3 of us, but I knew I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, even though I didn't really understand. But yeah, peers, trauma, just life experiences, but probably overall though, just giving up hope. You know, insecurities, my own internal conflicts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about yourself?
Oh man, like I said, like I would say I'll just go in the mid 80-20.
Okay.
More so because like I shared with, like I worked so hard at building myself up. God delivered me out of like a lot.
Yes, he did.
And that's the thing, is like he did a lot, man. Like, and he allowed me to see it.
Yeah.
Like visibly. I got dreams.
Yeah.
People came to me and told me what was about to take place, and it all happened. And it brought me to a place of like really believing that I knew him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's why I kind of get frustrated with who I became when I came home, because I immersed myself in school, I immersed myself in work, I immersed myself in trying to keep away from homies, I immersed myself in all of these things that really didn't allow me to exercise what I had what I had come to know about him, or just to watch him, like trust him, like trust him with like me being in the midst of people, like trust him with me being in out here without my family. And so I took on a lot of like things that culturally aligned me with having the most success post-release. But what that did, even though I landed in a great church, you know, super, like I wouldn't trade my pastor for the world. Like dude is a living, walking, breathing example of God's like hands just shaping and forming. You know what I'm saying? From him to his family. You know what I'm saying? And then just the church all the way around, you know, from the ground up. You know, he's not all concerned with members. He's not all concerned with like it, you know, I won't go into that, but although all of that was a blessing for me, I still got distracted. Especially when I got a family. When I got a family, I really went off the deep end and I dove into like
busyness.
Physical provision and busyness. which culturally is right where the enemy wants you.
That's where they want
You know what I'm saying? Right where the enemy wants
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I
you know.
like that. Number 8, if you are a biblical Christian, and we both gave our percentages, both on the biblical side though, right? The higher numbers. What advice would you give to a cultural Christian that might help him get on the right track?
So this was like this, and I'm just speaking to myself. This is what I should be telling myself every day. Provision is not all environmental or physical.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's very relational.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and exactly what my children are saying and my wife is saying they need from me relationally and like presence wise is exactly what I know I need with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? It's I know it is, bro. Like I know it is. So I would say to myself, like, put yourself in the environment of those who really desire to be around you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't give them the last of your day. Like, don't give them the last. I say all that to say, that's what I need to do with the Lord. Like put myself in His presence, or put myself in a position for Him to meet me one-on-one, and just desire what He has for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that'll help me all the more to not walk away chasing what culture has for my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, what culturally, like whether it's the rent is gone up or gas prices have gone up, and like culturally, fear will grab you and say, "Hey, man, you know, all the prices have increased." You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to make it count. You need to have enough money saved up, and this and that. They're culturally, the world's coming to an end. You got enough food in your bunker, but like ultimately, spiritually, what's also being said is like, do you have that spiritual wealth, stored up, and then spiritual, relationally spiritual is like, what is your family feasting on? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would.
For me, the advice, like, to myself or whoever struggles with that, the biblical Christian and versus the cultural Christian battle, I'll just say don't stop. You know what I mean? Like, in studying. You know what I mean? If you have a bad week where you haven't studied, having aggressiveness the same way I'm speaking to myself that I do to a workout, or to the weight of importance I feel to go see certain members of our community, of our community, or like just as heavy as I feel about that stuff, I need to dive into the word more, you know what I mean, or application to, I would say that to someone that struggles with the cultural Christianity, because your head can be your own worst enemy, or the most dangerous neighborhood you could walk through is in your own head. Don't look at yourself on the outside, you know what I mean, too much, and like lose focus. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, you know what I mean? Like the excerpt we read earlier said, it could be a long period of time, you know what I mean? But just don't stop, you know what I'm saying? Don't stop. If you have to break down and cry, wipe your tears, and then go back at it, you know what I mean? Because the reality is, it's our lives and our souls we fight for, you know what I mean? And those that look up to us, for the men, you know what I mean? We can't be our best selves without putting ourselves first, you know what I mean? And that's spiritually, physically, all of it counts, you know what I mean? But more so, like you said, that relationship with God, try to learn to love him, come to love him or know him for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Know him from yourself. And I would add, remember some of your miseries. Don't dwell on them, you know what I mean? But remember, just to, like we used a lot of examples today, personal or biblical, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at your own life, anybody, you know what I mean? You can see some heavy miracles where God has brought you, you know what I mean? Like, and you have some experiences where there is no other variable. Some it's hard to see. You'll be like, well, I had help from this person or this group or whatever. You know what I mean? But some situations, I believe we're all faced with a few in our life to where it ain't nobody else but him. You know what I mean? So I would just say, continue, don't stop. You know what I mean? Don't stop. Don't stop in that search or in your zeal to know him for yourself. You know what I mean? Last question. Where is the red eye in your life? Red dye in your life. What do you need to get it out? Where is the red dye in your life? What do you need to get it out? I'll start first. The red dye, and I remember that reference, but I think it's the similar relation to a trouble spot. You know what I mean? Or something that's heavy to get rid of. Hard to get rid of. The red dye in my life. Myself, man. I think it's myself trying to get out of my own way. You know what I mean? I'm a deep thinker. I'm an empath. I over-assess things sometimes too much. So just trying to find a healthy balance, but definitely myself, like not becoming my own worst enemy. You know what I mean? I'll say that's probably the biggest one. And also not being afraid to, we still live in our community. You know what I mean? In our city. You know what I mean? Like, not being afraid when I am around our community, like just being, and I'm not, you know what I mean? That took some time, you know what I mean? Just like you said, I don't want to go back into that isolation. I don't tiptoe around who I am or what I want to say, you know what I mean? Like, I know what my intentions are. Most of all, spiritually that I'm not perfect. I just don't want. We've done enough damage to ourselves, you know what I mean, and or others, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta do better, we got people watching us, you know what I'm saying? Simple as that, you know what I mean?